Damn. Hey everybody, I'm Laura Mae Ramsey. You might know me from TikTok where I make videos on my ARFID recovery, or maybe you're new and that's cool too. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about how I got diagnosed with ARFID because I get asked this all the time. And I do know that it's difficult to get a diagnosis in some cases, so I do think it's important to talk about. I wanted to do something fun while I tell you about it, like I've been doing in my other videos. But I started my period today and I feel like crap, so I'm just gonna sit here and talk to you. I am gonna snack a little bit while we talk. We're gonna do both. This looks weird. It's not expired. All right, we're not gonna eat that. It's like separated in a weird way. Oh, my cramps. Damn. If you watch me on TikTok, you know that I just recently got popcorn back as a safe food, and now I'm even doing a different flavor. I'm very excited about it. I want Boom Chicka Pop to sponsor me. I'm just kidding. Okay, so as I mentioned in the video where I told the story of how I developed ARFID, I have been dealing with it to some extent since I was about 19 years old. I'm 28 now, so it's been quite a while. I did not get a diagnosis of ARFID until 2019. So if you do the math, that was about 8 years of dealing with it before anybody ever mentioned ARFID to me. God damn it. One of the main reasons that's the case is that ARFID was not recognized as a diagnosis until recently. I believe 2011. If I'm wrong, I'll put it on the screen somewhere, but it definitely existed before then. People were experiencing it before then. Obviously, it just didn't have a name up until then. It used to be called selective eating disorder, but ARFID was not a diagnosis until I think 2011. Because of that, since it is so new, a lot of professionals still don't know about it or don't know a lot about it. A lot of professionals are reluctant to ever diagnose their patients with it because they say that they don't know enough about it to diagnose it. Which I can see, you know, where they're coming from, but it isn't fair to the person going through it because now they're missing out on this possible diagnosis because they don't know about it. I do believe that it's getting talked about more and more, which is awesome, but there is definitely still a lack of awareness for ARFID, which is really why I'm here. So, as I mentioned in that previous video, I was dealing with some heart issues a couple years ago that really caused me to develop a severe health anxiety. I was going to the hospital all the time, going to the ER, and a social worker was sent in to me during one of my ER visits, and they set me up with this therapist. I was seeing this therapist for about 2 to 3 months when she showed up one day to our appointment and was like, "Oh my God, Laura, I attended a seminar over the weekend that we talked about this thing called ARFID, and I think it's what you've been describing to me." So, oh my gosh, did I forget how to eat? Does anybody else get really clumsy when they're on their period, or is that just me? Anyways, she attended a seminar on ARFID. Apparently during the seminar, she like freaking like wrote a note to herself or something and was like, "This is Laura." When she brought it up to me, we pulled up the DSM-5 sheet and read it together, and we did kind of like a little checklist of symptoms to see what applies to me. A majority of them did. At this point, I was so relieved that this even existed, that there was even a name for it, because it had been almost 10 years, like 8 to 10 years of me doing Google searches all the time of like eating disorder, don't want to be skinny, or eating disorder, nothing to do with being skinny. I remember I used to make Tumblr posts where I would just tell like my whole story and be like, does anybody else know what this is? Does anybody else experience this? Is this an eating disorder? Am I just being weird? Like, what is this? I never could find anything when I would search. So I was really, really relieved. So we, from then on, just kind of looked at it as ARFID. We didn't really work on treating it at this point in time because she was not an eating disorder therapist. She had just learned about it herself at that seminar, so we didn't really talk about it too much. My main focus in therapy at that time was my heart issues and my PTSD. I definitely was avoiding food at this point, but it wasn't so bad that I felt like I wasn't getting nutritional requirements or anything. Looking back, it definitely probably was that bad, but I didn't recognize it yet as a problem because I was just so used to it. That therapist ended up having a baby and going on maternity leave and decided to not come back to that facility. So they put me with a new therapist who was fine, but not great. I feel bad saying that because I feel like she's gonna watch this and know, but like what are the odds that she would ever watch this video? But she wasn't sensitive to it at all. If I ever said, oh, I'm having anxiety about these peanut butter crackers that I'm eating because I'm convinced I'm gonna have anaphylaxis because my throat feels tight when I eat them, she'd be like, take a drink of water. So I didn't really talk about my ARFID with her at all because I didn't feel comfortable with her, and my issues still at this point was that I was having panic attacks like every day, and that was my main focus, was panic attacks.
Are you sick of lounging around in your old t-shirts and shorts? Well, do I have the thing for you? I have some sweatshirts available. All of the designs are hand-drawn and designed by me and printed through Bonfire. Each feature positive, uplifting quotes such as, maybe it's not so scary, I am not my bad day, and struck down but not destroyed. These are seriously the coziest sweatshirts I've ever owned, and I swear I'm not just saying that. The designs are also available on t-shirts through Bonfire, and if that's not your thing, I have a few stickers available on my website as well. I appreciate your all's orders so much, and it literally helps me put food on my table. Alright, back to the video.
I did start going to Eating Disorder Anonymous meetings around that time, which was helpful, but as you can imagine, I was the only person there with ARFID, and that was kind of discouraging, I guess. But I also kind of expected it, so it was fine. When the pandemic hit and my ARFID got very bad was when I actually worked with an eating disorder specialist. And by that, I mean, I did an evaluation with the eating disorder specialist and then never worked with them again because they did not accept me into their program. But they did confirm that it was indeed ARFID. And they were also an OCD clinic, and they confirmed my OCD as well. The problem with this experience is that I had been talking about this issue with doctors for a long time. So it kind of makes me mad that I didn't hear anything about ARFID until I was a grown adult, and it had gotten this severe. But again, like, it just wasn't, no one knows about it. So they couldn't diagnose me with it because nobody knows about it. And if you are searching for a diagnosis, I don't want to discourage you because there are people that are learning and it's getting a lot more common. But you might run into people who don't know what it is, and they kind of might brush it off or misdiagnose you as anorexic. That happened to me a lot. Since I did ballet most of my life, and I have been very thin my whole life. Even before I developed ARFID, I've just always been very small. I had been getting misdiagnosed as anorexic for a long time. And they straight up would be like, oh, it's because of your ballet, because you're in ballet. And I'm like, no, I promise, like, that's not what it is. I'm scared to eat. I'm scared to eat. And they say, oh, because you don't want to get fat. No, no, it has nothing to do with that. Like, I'm scared to eat. I'm scared I'm gonna get sick. And when I do eat, I do get sick. My stomach is like messed up, blah, blah. And they say, because of dance. No. Now, I definitely do think I developed some orthorexia issues because of ballet, but that's a whole different story. So I had gone a long time just wanting to freaking fight people who tried to say I had an eating disorder, because to me, it meant that they thought I was purposefully trying to be skinny. Because I didn't know that you could have an eating disorder that has nothing to do with body image. Even still, I get a lot of comments of people who are asking about weight and if I want to be this thin and blah, blah. And I do just think it should be a rule of thumb to not comment on that kind of thing. It was really hard to get doctors to believe that I was not anorexic. You might run into that when you are trying to get a diagnosis, because anorexia and bulimia is so well known and a lot more understood within the medical community that that's going to be their first go-to. They might try to get you to admit that that's what it is. I would really encourage you to not get too upset and not get discouraged from trying to get a diagnosis, because eventually someone is going to be able to help you. I've had a lot more luck in the mental health side of things. I would recommend trying to find an eating disorder clinic in your area. If there's not one, just try to find a therapist that has experience with ARFID, or a dietitian that has experience with ARFID. Honestly, I kind of lucked out when it came to getting a diagnosis, because somebody brought it to my attention instead of me having to take it to somebody else's attention. I know a lot of people in the ARFID support groups who are diagnosed had to get all the information, study as much as they could, and present all that information to their doctors. I'm really glad I didn't have to do that, because I suck at sticking up for myself. But unfortunately, that might be something that you have to do. And I just really urge you to stick to your guns. Don't let them sway you away from it. Unless, I mean, obviously, if they seem like they have a good reason to think that you don't have that, maybe listen to them. But there are some times where you're like, okay, this doctor is just not listening to me. They're writing me off. I encourage you to really stick up for yourself in that moment. Okay, I think I told the whole story. I don't know, but either way, thank you for hanging out with me while I snacked on some popcorn, and I hope that was helpful at all. Honestly, if you have any questions, like, put them in the if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below, and I will try my best to get back to you, because I can't think of anything else to add. So I don't know. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And if you are interested in more ARFID related content, I make a ton on TikTok. All right, bye.